Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, future millionaires and world changers, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why the road to your destiny feels so difficult sometimes? When we talk about greatness, most people think of the spotlight, the stage, the success, the wealth, the accolades, but what they don't see, what they don't talk about, is the pressure, the process, and the pain that comes before the promise. Greatness isn't handed out like candy. It's developed, it's forged, and the tool that God most often uses to prepare people for greatness is discomfort. Discomfort is not the enemy, it's the evidence that something is happening. It's the stretching of your capacity, the expansion of your faith, and the confrontation of your limitations. God does not use ease to build warriors. He uses fire to refine gold. And when you say, "God, make me great," what you may not realize is that you're inviting Him to remove everything in you that can't carry greatness. Because greatness isn't just about having something. It's about becoming someone. If you're going to be trusted with wealth, with influence, with leadership, with legacy, then your inner foundation has to be able to support the weight of the assignment. And discomfort is how that foundation gets tested. Think about every person in Scripture who did something extraordinary. None of them were shaped in places of ease. They were developed in discomfort. Moses didn't discover his calling in Pharaoh's palace. He discovered it in exile on the backside of a desert, feeling like a failure. Joseph wasn't elevated to power overnight. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. And yet, every step of that uncomfortable journey was orchestrated by God to increase his capacity, to handle pressure, to lead people, to manage wealth, to interpret dreams, to operate with wisdom and humility. The discomfort didn't destroy him, it prepared him. So if you find yourself in a season where you feel stretched, challenged, or even broken, don't rush to escape it. Don't assume something's wrong. In fact, it might be the clearest sign that God is up to something in your life, that He's enlarging you internally before He promotes you externally, that He's preparing the vessel before He pours in the oil. Discomfort teaches you what comfort can't. Comfort lulls you to sleep. Discomfort wakes you up. Comfort lets you maintain the status quo. Discomfort forces you to grow. You don't develop new muscles without resistance. You don't gain endurance without exertion. You don't grow in faith until you're in a position where faith is your only option. And let's be real, some of the greatest breakthroughs come out of our most uncomfortable seasons. It's in the late nights when the plan isn't working and you're on your knees asking for guidance. It's in the quiet moments of rejection when the people you thought would support you walk away. It's when the resources run out and you learn to depend on God as your source, not your strategy. Those are the moments when you're being trained for more than you can see. You're being prepared to lead, to steward, to conquer. God is not interested in building your brand if your soul is fragile. He won't elevate you to a level where your character can't keep you. And so the discomfort you feel, that's the stretching of your soul. That's God building patience in you. He's building discernment in you. He's breaking the addiction to approval. He's teaching you how to hear His voice in the storm, how to stand firm when others waver, how to walk in authority and humility at the same time. If you keep running from discomfort, you'll keep running from your destiny. Every time God calls someone to do something great, He allows them to walk through something that makes no sense in the natural. Why? Because He's shifting their dependence away from their own ability and onto His power. The discomfort is not random, it's intentional. It's part of the curriculum for greatness. You can't ask for divine results while refusing divine preparation. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost your comfort, your pride, your old identity. But what you gain in return is wisdom, endurance, and strength that no man can take away. You don't become great by doing what's easy. You become great by submitting to the process, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. It reveals what's in you. It exposes what needs to go. It forces you to develop habits, mindset, and perspective that are aligned with your assignment. The level of discomfort you're willing to endure will often determine the level of greatness you're capable of walking in. When you're in a season of waiting, it's easy to feel like God has forgotten you. You've prayed, you've planned, you've taken steps, and yet nothing seems to be moving. The doors aren't opening. The opportunities feel like they're passing you by. And deep down, you begin to wonder if what you're believing for will ever happen. But here's what you need to understand. Delay is not denial. It's divine development. God is not ignoring your prayers. He's shaping you through the pause. He's doing something in you before he does something through you. If you step into a blessing too soon, without the maturity, wisdom, or discipline to sustain it, what was meant to elevate you can actually crush you. That's why God delays some things, not to keep them from you, but to prepare you for them. We often think readiness is about passion or desire, but in the kingdom, readiness is about capacity. Can you carry what you're asking for? Can you remain faithful when the spotlight hits? Can you manage abundance without pride, success without compromise? God is developing your roots in the delay. He's deepening your character, refining your motives, and expanding your perspective so that when the breakthrough comes, you don't just step into it. You thrive in it. Look at David. He was anointed king as a young man, but he didn't walk into the throne room the next day. No, he went back to the field. He served. He fought. He hid in caves. He endured betrayal, heartbreak, and long nights of wondering when the promise would come to pass. That wasn't wasted time. It was preparation time. The delay made him into the king he needed to become. It stripped him of arrogance. It sharpened his focus. It taught him how to lead not just with a crown, but with a heart after God. Delay teaches you patience, and patience is not passive, it's powerful. It's the strength to trust God's timing over your own emotions. It's the maturity to believe that God's not yet doesn't mean no. It's the faith to keep building, keep learning, keep serving, even when no one's watching and nothing's moving. Sometimes we're so obsessed with acceleration that we overlook the value of process. But in the kingdom, process is everything. God uses time as a tool, not a threat. What you think is a setback is actually setup. What you see as a detour is part of the design. You don't see the whole picture right now, but God does, and He's orchestrating things behind the scenes that you couldn't even imagine if He showed you. You might be waiting for the relationship, the promotion, the breakthrough, the business to take off, but maybe what you're calling delay is God's mercy. Maybe He's protecting you from something that looks good now, but would derail your purpose later. Maybe He's aligning the right people, the right timing, the right resources. So when it does happen, it's undeniable that it was Him, not you. God is not slow. He's strategic. And just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. His promises are not on your schedule, but they are always on time. The delay is doing more than you think. It's testing your endurance, stretching your trust, purifying your intentions. If you skip that part, you skip the preparation required to handle what's coming next. So many people abort the process because they confuse silence with absence. But silence is not the absence of activity. It's often the signal that something deeper is happening. Like a seed under the soil, there may be no visible evidence, but growth is taking place in the dark. Roots are forming, strength is building, foundations are settling. That's what divine development looks like. You don't build greatness overnight. You build it in seasons of obscurity, in quiet obedience, in consistent faithfulness. Delay gives you time to master what matters most: mindset, skill set, habits, identity. When God does release the blessing, you won't be scrambling to keep it. You'll already be the person who can sustain it. The wilderness is not a place of punishment, it's a place of preparation, but most people misunderstand it. They think if they're in a season where things feel dry, uncertain, or unproductive, it must mean something's gone wrong. That they've missed it, messed up, or that God is mad at them, but that's not how God works. The wilderness is not where purpose dies, it's where purpose is born. God doesn't send people into the wilderness to destroy them. He sends them there to develop them. Before Jesus performed a single miracle, he was led into the wilderness. Before the Israelites entered the promised land, they had to go through the wilderness. Before David wore the crown, he had years of hiding, running, and surviving in the wilderness. There's a pattern here, and the pattern is this. If God has a calling on your life, the wilderness is not optional. It's essential. Because in the wilderness, all the things you thought you needed get stripped away. The applause disappears. The distractions die down. The familiar comforts are no longer there to lean on. And that's exactly where God wants you, not to leave you empty, but to fill you with something that can't be shaken. In the wilderness, your dependence shifts. You stop relying on people, platforms, and plans, and you start depending on God in a whole new way. See, the wilderness exposes what's in you. It reveals whether your faith is rooted in convenience or conviction. It shows whether your praise is based on feelings or truth. It tests the integrity of your motives. It uncovers what you trust more, your gift or your God. And once that exposure happens, God starts shaping the version of you that can actually handle your destiny. This is why the wilderness is not punishment, it's preparation. It's where pride gets broken, where ego gets crushed, where fear is confronted. It's where your identity gets redefined, not based on titles, achievements, or recognition, but on who God says you are. And that version of you, the one forged in fire, is the one God can use to do great things. The wilderness also teaches obedience. When you're in the wilderness, you don't move by impulse. You move by instruction. You don't go where it looks good. You go where God leads. You learn how to follow the cloud by day and the fire by night, even when you don't understand it. You stop being led by logic and start being led by the Spirit. That level of sensitivity doesn't come in comfort. It's birthed in pressure. The problem is, most people want to skip the wilderness and go straight to the promise. But the wilderness is where you gain the strength to keep what you're praying for. If you get the promise without the process, you'll sabotage the very thing God gave you. The wilderness strips away what's not sustainable. It deals with the part of you that would destroy the blessing if it were handed to you too soon. You learn stewardship in the wilderness. You learn strategy. You learn submission. You learn to hear God in the silence and follow Him in uncertainty. These are not just spiritual lessons. They're leadership lessons. They're business lessons. They're life lessons. And you only get them when you embrace the season, not resist it. God does His best work in hidden places. While you're praying for promotion, God is developing your character. While you're asking for visibility, He's teaching you responsibility. The wilderness doesn't mean He's done with you. It means He's getting started, because what He builds in you, there can't be taken from you when you get there. And it's in the wilderness that you realize something powerful. You didn't need what you thought you needed. You didn't need the spotlight. You didn't need the approval. You didn't need all the answers. What you needed was to learn how to walk by faith, how to trust God in uncertainty, and how to carry His presence more than you chase platforms. Elevation requires excavation. Before God lifts you up, He digs you deep. That's a principle many people overlook. Everybody wants the platform, the influence, the overflow, but nobody wants to talk about the digging, the hidden part, the painful part. The part where God reaches into the depths of your soul and starts removing everything that doesn't align with your assignment. You can't go high without going deep. If a building is going to rise tall, its foundation has to be dug deep into the ground. Why? Because elevation creates pressure, and if you don't have depth, the pressure will break you. That's why God does the excavating first. Before He ever shows you off, He works on you in private, in the dark. In silence, in obscurity, excavation is messy, it's disruptive, it's uncomfortable. It means God starts pulling up things you thought were buried. He starts challenging your patterns, your habits, your mindset, your motives. He confronts the parts of you that would crumble under pressure, the insecurity, the ego, the need for control, the addiction to approval. He doesn't do it to shame you. He does it to strengthen you, because anything fake can't survive at the level you're praying to operate on. You say you want to be used by God. You say you want to lead, to build, to impact lives. That's beautiful. But can you handle the digging? Can you sit still while God removes the old you? Can you trust Him while He cuts off connections that no longer serve your future? Can you allow Him to uproot your comfort zone so He can expand your capacity? The problem is, people want elevation without excavation. They want success without surrender, but that's not how the kingdom works. God is not going to elevate a version of you that isn't healed, whole, and ready. He's not going to put you in a position of influence if you still fold under pressure, lash out under critique, or compromise under temptation. So He takes you through the digging phase. Sometimes that excavation looks like isolation. Sometimes it looks like disappointment. Sometimes it feels like loss. But it's not the enemy. It's God, removing what's shallow so He can establish what's solid. Breaking you free from shallow foundations so He can build something that lasts. The relationships that didn't last, the doors that didn't open, the opportunities that fell through. That was part of the digging. Not to hurt you, but to make room, because God doesn't just want you to be visible. He wants you to be stable, and that kind of stability doesn't come from talent. It comes from trust. It doesn't come from charisma. It comes from character. He's digging down into the parts of you that nobody sees so that when everybody sees you, you're still anchored, not moved by applause, not shaken by pressure, not distracted by fame. Built on solid ground, excavation is where identity gets reshaped. It's where vision gets clearer. It's where faith gets real. It's where pride dies and purpose is born. You don't come out of excavation the same person. You come out lighter, sharper, wiser, ready. The height of your destiny will always be determined by the depth of your foundation. So if you feel like life has been digging into you, if you feel like things are being torn down, stripped away, exposed, it may not be an attack. It may be alignment, God getting everything out of the way that can't go with you where He's taking you. Because where He's taking you is higher than you've ever been, but only if you're willing to go deeper than you've ever gone. Growth never comes from comfort. It comes from resistance, from tension, from pressure, and while the world tells you to seek ease, God will often lead you into seasons that stretch you, because He's more interested in your development than your convenience. If you want to grow, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to face things you don't want to face. You have to endure things that challenge your strength, test your faith, and push you past your limits. Resistance is how you build muscle, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's all the same. Without pressure, there's no progress. You don't grow by staying where it's safe. You grow by stepping into situations that demand more than what you think you have. Because that's where you discover what God has already placed inside you. The strength, the resilience, the wisdom, the grit. It's all there, but it doesn't surface until it's tested. You don't learn patience in peaceful seasons. You learn it when you're waiting on something that seems like it'll never show up. You don't learn faith when everything's going your way. You learn it when nothing makes sense and God is your only anchor. You don't learn courage when the path is clear. You learn it when the future looks uncertain, but you keep walking anyway. This is why God doesn't remove every obstacle. He'll allow resistance to remain, not to block you, but to build you. He lets the pressure stay so you can become strong enough to carry the promise. If he gave it to you too soon, you wouldn't have the stamina to sustain it. So he sends resistance to increase your spiritual capacity, to refine your focus, to deepen your dependence. Think about a tree. The stronger the wind, the deeper its roots grow. If the wind never blew, the tree would fall when the first storm hit. Resistance makes it stable. And it's the same with you. That struggle you're facing, it's strengthening your foundation. That opposition, it's sharpening your discernment. That delay, it's training your discipline. And let's be clear, God is not punishing you with resistance. He's positioning you through it. He's training you for the next level. He's developing the kind of character that doesn't collapse under pressure. He's teaching you how to stay focused when distractions come, how to stay faithful when doors close, how to stay joyful when outcomes don't match your expectations. Too many people try to pray their way out of resistance. But resistance isn't always something to escape. Sometimes it's something to embrace. It's God's way of saying, I'm preparing you for something greater. You can't skip the resistance and expect real growth. The pressure is part of the process. When you feel the weight, don't assume you're doing something wrong. You might be doing exactly what you're supposed to. Growth is painful. Progress is messy. But what it produces in you is powerful. It produces maturity, it produces endurance, it produces stability, and these are the things that carry you into lasting impact. The enemy wants you to believe that pressure is a sign to quit, but in the kingdom, pressure is often confirmation that you're on the right track. Resistance doesn't mean retreat, it means reveal. It shows you where your faith really is. It exposes the areas where you still need healing. It uncovers the fears that still need to be surrendered. And it gives you the opportunity to grow stronger, not just in your gift, but in your spirit. If you're experiencing resistance right now, take heart. That means you're being stretched. And being stretched means you're being shaped. God is not just preparing your future. He's preparing you for your future. And resistance is the tool he's using to do it. Submission precedes elevation. Before God can elevate you, he requires your surrender. Not partial, not conditional, but complete. True greatness in the kingdom doesn't come from striving. It comes from yielding. Yielding your will, your plans, your pride, your timeline. Because God doesn't bless ambition that resists his authority. He blesses obedience that flows from submission. Submission isn't weakness, it's alignment. It's saying, God, I trust your way more than I trust my own understanding. It's choosing obedience over convenience, faithfulness over feelings, and humility over hustle. Submission doesn't mean you stop dreaming. It means you surrender those dreams to the one who gave them to you in the first place. Because what he can do with a surrendered heart is always greater than what you can build with self-effort. You can't walk in divine authority without living under divine order. God elevates those who are submitted, not just in public, but in private, the ones who obey when no one's watching, the ones who follow instruction even when it doesn't make sense, the ones who say yes before they know the whole plan. That's who God can trust with influence, with impact, with increase. Submission is the soil where elevation grows. If you skip that soil, the fruit won't last. So before you pray for promotion, ask if your posture is right, because promotion in the kingdom is not about being seen, it's about being *sent. And only the submitted get sent with power. God is not trying to slow you down, He's setting you up. Every delay, every hardship, every hidden season has been part of a divine process. You weren't buried, you were planted. And now, it's time to grow into the greatness He prepared for you. But you must be willing to be developed before you are displayed. You must embrace the pressure, submit to the process, and trust the timing. Because when God gets finished with you, you won't just be blessed, you'll be unshakable. Built on foundation, fueled by faith, led by obedience, and marked by purpose. This is not the end of your story. It's the breaking of the ground before the rising of the giant.